Eric, who was in a great mood, started talking enthusiastically about how identity is important in this world. Without identity, it will be difficult to make progress. By the way, where is the note I gave you yesterday? The girl pointed to the trash can and answered honestly. You balled it up and threw it in the trash can. The girl picked up the note and asked as she read it. What will happen without identity? Then you will be a black household, unable to do anything. You can't work or stay in an inn. You also cannot ride transportation. Even if a dispute occurs, the government office will not help you. They will even arrest you. The girl quickly understood that it is extremely important. Eric took out his computer and started searching. If you had come 20 years earlier, it would have been better. Or you can try seeking help from the government office of this world, although you may very likely lose your freedom. The girl was startled. Are you going to hand me over to the government office? No, it's just a hypothetical scenario. You should go study first. Once you have a better understanding of modern society, then you can make your own decisions. The girl felt a bit wronged, but could only bow her head and agree. Originally, ancient people also bathed every day. Eric is at the doorstep. After he picked up a girl who came from the Tang Dynasty. He has been worried about how to solve her identity problem, but unfortunately, he couldn't find a solution online at all. After he opened his address book and searched for a while, Eric suddenly remembered that his close friend Dario is now an honorable police officer. Eric wanted to ask him directly what to do, but he didn't know where to start. After all, this is something that no one would believe no matter who hears it. So Eric decided to wait until the weekend to go out and meet him before asking again. Immediately after that, Eric took a nice hot bath in comfort. He finished washing, didn't put on any clothes, and started feeding Machi cat food. He accidentally touched his smooth chest muscles. Eric suddenly remembered that there is a member of the opposite sex at home, and a very ferocious one at that. He hurried into his own room, when there was no noise in the living room. The girl quietly came out, holding clothes in her hands. Then, as quick as lightning, she rushed directly into the bathroom. After all, who can resist the comfortable act of taking a bath? Soon, Saturday arrived and Eric gave the girl a handwritten tablet. He was planning to teach her how to use it step by step. Machi suddenly roared behind them, interrupting the intimate moment between the two. Eric had to get up to feed Machi. Watching Eric pour cat food into the bowl, girl couldn't help but ask, "What is that?" "This is cat food, which is specially made for cats to eat." Girl is silly. Do you still have food for cats? What kind of seeds can grow that? Just then, a doorbell rang outside. Eric handed the takeout to the girl. "This is your dinner." "I'm going out to meet a friend tonight." The girl ignored his words. She opened the packaging and took a bite directly out of the hamburger. Machi also came over, looking at the girl in a pleasing manner. Eric directly picked up Machi and went to eat your cat food. Girl is a bit strange. Can't you feed it this? Of course not, because it's unhealthy. Hearing this, girl was suddenly struck as if by lightning. Not long after, in front of a barbecue stall, the person in question was Eric's close friend Dario. After exchanging a few pleasantries, Eric suddenly asked, "If a homeless person who has lost their memory wants to apply for an ID card to work but has no proof of identity, what should they do to obtain an ID card?" Dario brushed his teeth and said he couldn't do it. "Do you think this is for buying groceries on the street? Who is trying to apply for it?" Eric chuckled and said, "My third great-uncle's second aunt's neighbor's nephew asked me to inquire." In the end, after Dario explained, Eric realized that it was impossible to apply for it. The two drank quite a bit of alcohol. Eric called a car to take Dario back. He also packed some food to bring back to girl to eat. He returned home. At a glance, Eric saw girl and Machi sound asleep. This feeling made Eric inexplicably startled, but unfortunately the next second, the girl opened her eyes wide and stared at him. Eric sat down beside her with a thump. He took out 2 bottles of yogurt from the bag, this one before drinking. You have to lick it like this. Look at the girl licking the cream on her face to look satisfied. Eric smiled contentedly. It feels really nice to come back home with the lights on and people sitting inside. Eric took a shower by himself. He then remembered that he seemed to have not taught Girl how to do laundry. He asked about it. Girl also remembered the strange piece of cloth from yesterday. She blushed immediately. She tried hard to shake her head to try to forget it. The next morning, Eric asked the girl if she wanted to get up and go buy breakfast. He was rejected by the girl, so Eric hummed a tune and went downstairs by himself. However, he was called over by the security guard Edwin on the roadside. There were also a few uncles and aunts there. Eric was a bit puzzled and asked, "Are you discussing national affairs?" The aunt approached him with a suspicious look on her face, staring at him intently. "Have you heard any noise at night recently while sleeping?" Eric scratched his head. What noise? And Uncle's face turned pale. It might be haunted here, a few nights ago, in the middle of the night. Don't know what scared him. Security guard Edwin also said in a deep voice, "It was caught on camera." Several people came to the surveillance room. By watching the surveillance footage, they clearly saw a dark figure jumping and moving between several buildings. Eric felt a headache most likely. It's her with such skills. Eric hurried home and immediately questioned Girl. "Did you sneak out in the middle of the night?" Girl stammered. "How did you know?" Eric was somewhat speechless. "And you ask me how I knew? Far-sighted eyes captured everything on camera for you." He paused. Eric asked again, "What were you wearing at that time?" The girl lowered her head, wearing black, with her face covered. Upon hearing this, Eric finally breathed a sigh of relief. As long as he didn't show his face, no one should be able to find him. He once again instructed the girl, "In the future, if you want to go out, please tell me and don't wander around on your own, okay?" The girl was a little scared. "Did I cause trouble?" "It's good that you know. Now, there are rumors of ghosts everywhere in the neighborhood. Forget it. Let's not worry about it. What would you like to eat?" "I'll order delivery." I was initially worried, but the girl was deeply touched. "I want to eat something healthy. How about you eat cat food?" Do you know what this small cloth strip was used for during the Tang Dynasty? Just now, Eric threw his clothes into the washing machine. The girl curiously approached and asked, "Can this really get clean?" After hearing Eric's affirmative response, the girl ran back to her room quickly. She ran back holding a pile of dirty clothes. Eric watched her throw the clothes into the washing machine. He suddenly pulled out a long, thin piece of cloth from inside before Eric could ask what it was. The girl blushed and snatched the cloth strip. She rushed out of the bathroom like a bolt of lightning. Eric thought this was a foot-binding cloth, but how could she still fly over walls if her feet were bound? Eric had a second thought. No wonder she didn't try on any of the pile of underwear she bought that day. It turns out it wasn't malnutrition, but being wrapped up. Eric planned to say a few comforting words to the girl, who was sitting on the ground sulking. The girl almost drew her sword to send him on his way, and angrily called him a lewd man. Eric, unexpectedly, did not feel ashamed but rather took pride in it, clasping his hands together and thanking the female hero for her praise. However, playing around is one thing, but once you buy clothes, you shouldn't just discard them. While white cloth strips are useful, modern products are more comfortable, aren't they? Eric turned on the computer and played an instructional video for the girl. 5 minutes later, Eric returned and asked, "How's it going?" Who would have known that the girl was trembling all over and asked, "Is life here really so unrestrained?" Eric earnestly explained, "This is called being outdated." Nowadays, those women, whether showing their waist or shoulders, it's all a matter of personal freedom. Why can men be shirtless, but women cannot? If you cannot accept it, you can dress in long pants and long sleeves yourself, but you cannot say others lack shame. Who knows, the girl still cannot accept it. Eric could only compromise and change the topic. He opened Super Mario on the computer. The girl was instantly attracted under Eric's guidance. She quickly got the hang of it. Seeing her so fascinated, Eric couldn't help but feel pleased. This way, she won't be thinking about running out every day. An hour later, Eric interrupted girl again and gave her a new game, Landlord. Not long after, girl learned how to play. Immediately, Eric went to sleep alone. Until the setting sun, Eric woke up with a yawn, while girl was still immersed in the game. Eric stepped forward and said, "It's almost time. I'll take you out for dinner today. You should go change your dress. Also, change your hairstyle. Don't let people associate that dark shadow from that day with you." The girl lowered her head to look at her outfit and finally agreed. After a moment, the girl changed into a white dress and felt uncomfortable all over. She blushed and asked Eric, "Is this okay?" Eric was stunned for a moment. After a moment, he finally came to his senses. He cleared his throat and said, "Let's switch back to the previous one. This one is too conspicuous." The girl grumbled, feeling like she had been played, clenching her fists tightly. Shortly after, the two of them went downstairs and ran into security guard Edwin. "Oh, out shopping with your girlfriend again, Eric?" Eric awkwardly scratched his head. "Just with a friend." "However, Edwin, is this baton of yours made of peach wood?" Edwin waved it twice, not reaching the level of peach wood yet, so just stick with some talisman for now. "Do I look like Jin Cheong in the New Year painting?" Eric can only smile and give a thumbs up, like really. Immediately, the two of them left the neighborhood and walked on the sidewalk. The girl suddenly looked around and then leaned in, asking in a low voice, "What does girlfriend mean?" "It just means friend. So why add the word girl?" "Because you are a girl, why do you say you are not?" Eric is completely helpless now. Even if he says it, you don't understand. You will understand in the future. Eric knows that if she finds out what girlfriend means, she might pack her bags and run away overnight. On the road, the girl from the Tang Dynasty watches the crowd coming and going on the street. There is no curfew here. No vendors shouting in the streets. There are no bumpy dirt roads here. Everywhere is filled with a unique atmosphere. She has never seen such a tranquil place before. Everything she saw when she looked up seemed like a dream. Eric, on the other hand, did not have as many emotions. He ran to buy a cup of bubble tea and a cup of kumquat lemon, and in a moment, the girl holding the bubble tea seemed a bit dazed. Were those people just earning money by doing this? Can I learn to do this kind of work too? Eric did not hide from you that you can learn, but you still cannot earn money from it because you don't have an ID card. Don't worry, first taste this milk tea. The girl obediently lowered her head and started drinking the milk tea. The bubbly texture quickly made her feel uncomfortable. After swallowing hard, she finally spoke. "The taste is a bit strange, and this bubble is not easy to chew." Eric immediately laughed, saying, "I feel the same way." The girl glanced at the drink in his hand in surprise. Is this person out of his mind? If he thinks it's bad, why buy it for others? Eric handed over his kumquat lemon again. "Do you want to try mine?" The girl flicked her straw, then stuck it into his cup and took a sip. The next moment, she was conquered. "It tastes good." Seeing this, Eric directly took her bubble tea over. "Let's switch to another cup since we've already bought it. It's wasteful to throw it away directly." Looking at Eric girl drinking milk tea absorbed in her own thoughts, I can't help but feel that something doesn't seem quite right. But she thought about it and decided against it, because kumquat lemon is really delicious. Not long after, the two finished their meal. While wandering around, Eric suddenly saw a bus stop sign. So he took girl onto the bus. He gave the window seat to girl, who watched outside with amazement. After a while, the two got off the bus at Longyong Bridge. "This is the best night view around here?" The girl asked blankly. "Eric, is this really over 1,000 years later?" Eric leaned on the railing. You've read more than half of the history books. You should have an answer in your heart by now, right? 1,200 years have passed. The sea has changed into mulberry fields. You probably can't go back. Although identity is difficult to figure out, there are always more solutions than difficulties. It's not a bad idea for you to stay here. Over time, you will eventually find a way of life that you like. You should enjoy this golden age that comes 1,200 years later. As the clock strikes 12, fireworks suddenly rise by the riverbank. This is the best era in thousands of years. There is no reason to not accept a girl, even if she accidentally came from 1,200 years ago. Early the next morning, Eric looked at the news on his phone speechlessly. This girl pretended to be a plain thief in the middle of the night, and now there are fewer people outside at night. The girl leaned against the window and suddenly pointed outside, asking, "What are so many people looking at over there?" Eric took a bite of his hamburger and leaned in for a closer look. My goodness. The neighborhood actually invited a magician to catch ghosts. After a moment, the two of them started eating breakfast. The girl, however, asked thoughtfully, "Are people here all like prisoners?" Eric felt a bit embarrassed. "Of course not," he said. "Being an otaku is a lifestyle." The girl naturally couldn't understand. Eric thought for a moment. I can choose to go out. I can also choose to stay at home, just like wealthy landlord who has nothing to do and walks the dog and plays with the cat in the house every day. So she wanted to go out. She wanted to leave here and see the outside world. Eric immediately began the education. Setting aside other issues, in terms of clothing, food, and shelter, can you wear the same without washing or changing? Can you rely on your own two legs to walk? As for living arrangements, will you climb onto someone else's roof to sleep? And for food, will you steal or rob? There are no deep mountains and old forests around here for you to hunt in. You can only go rummage through the trash cans. Girl fell silent for a moment. She was clear in her heart. Eric took out 2 coins from his pocket again. You have made a lot of progress. At least you can take the bus and recognize coins now. If I give you some money, you can also survive outside for a period of time. You are much stronger than when you first arrived. Take it slow. After the ghostly incidents blow over, I will take you out more for a walk. At that moment, a sudden knocking sound is heard outside the door. Eric quickly pushed the girl back into the room and then opened the door, only to find that it was his dad standing there. Eric nervously asked, "Dad, why are you here?" Sam adjusted his glasses and called me, "Landlord." As soon as I entered, Sam started asking, "Have you found a job yet?" Eric stretched and asked, "Landlord, why do you care about my job? As long as I can pay the rent, it's fine." "Did you come here in person just to see if I'm working? It's National Day now, and no one is working. Are you here to check the utility bills? I can transfer the money to you right now." Sam turned his head and saw the game on the computer again, making him even more angry. "If you can't find a job next month, I will increase your rent." Eric suddenly asked, "By the way, Dad, did you see that Taoist priest when you arrived just now? It's haunted here, not safe, and the environment is not good. Can you lower the rent a bit?" Just then, Sam opens a door. He saw girls' clothes hanging on the windowsill. Sam said in a deep voice, "Eric, have you learned to wear this kind of clothes now?" Eric was speechless. Whether he admits it or not is still a question. But compared to one's own son cross-dressing, the sudden appearance of a girl in the house shouldn't be too strange, right? And he may be able to hide it temporarily, but not for a lifetime. As long as he runs into an ant outside and casually strikes up a conversation, those gossipers will definitely spill the beans about the girl. Thinking about this, Eric could only respond, "Actually, she is just a friend of mine. I have a friend's younger sister staying here for a few days," he said. Then Eric knocked on the girl's door. After a moment, a puzzled girl looked at the two of them. Eric then introduced, "This is my dad. the girl said tentatively, about to call him Dad as well. She suddenly felt that something was off again, her little mind unable to grasp it all at once. She turned her head and asked softly, "What should I call you?" Call me Uncle." Sam was completely stunned at this moment. Just now, that girl child, she seemed like she wanted to call him Dad? Absolutely, it seems like this situation is not simple. The girl quickly bowed her head to say hello to Uncle. Eric was also scratching his face on the side. That's probably how it is. She will stay here for a while. Sam didn't say a word. He directly pulled Eric into the room on the side. "What's going on?" Eric crossed his arms and said, "It's just that a friend has come to stay with me. You don't need to come over for no reason and startle them." Sam suddenly said, "Is this your girlfriend? She almost called me Dad just now." "You heard it wrong." "How old is she?" "She's 18 years old." The atmosphere suddenly became awkward. Sam sighed and said, "What a troublemaker." He came over to urge his son to pay rent and find a job, but ended up driving away a girl who almost called him Dad? "You said she's not your girlfriend. Do I look like a fool to you, Dad?" Eric can only end the conversation. All right. I still need to work. When I have time, I will go home to have dinner with Mom." Sam can only choose to leave. As he was about to leave, he turned back and said, "Remember to stay safe." Just as he was about to leave, Eric suddenly called out to him. Immediately, a pair of delicate straw sandals were placed in front of him. Eric looked expectantly and asked, "How much do you think this Tang Dynasty antique can sell for?" His father is an archaeologist. Asking him would definitely be the right move. Sam touched his ear and said, "Hold on. What dynasty did you say the antique is from?" "Tang Dynasty, during the time of Emperor Li Longji." "Have a look. Is it valuable?" Sam's eyes are filled with compassion. "I do not know if it is valuable, but it would be best for you to go to Nanshan No. 2 Hospital for a psychiatric evaluation. I don't know if it's too late for me to have a second child now." Sam is about to leave, but Eric is still unwilling to give up. "Why don't you take another look and see if there is anything that can be salvaged?" Sam is completely enraged. Can creating antiques be considered productive work? Could you please focus on something useful and stop pondering random things all day long? If you weren't also grown up, I would have to find a stick to beat you. In his excitement, Sam picked up the long sword next to him. He also froze. This sword seems to be something. Eric thought to himself, "This is not good. If that old guy takes away the sword, the girl will definitely be furious. This is her livelihood." Sam slowly pulled out the sword. He stared at the blade for a long time. Eric couldn't help but ask, "How is it?" Sam's forehead veins bulged, and he exclaimed, "Get lost." He threw the sword back to Eric and turned around to leave. Eric also knew in his heart. There is no trace of oxidation on the blade. It is definitely not an antique from thousands of years ago. Is there a shortcut to quickly becoming a master? This is the question Eric most wants to ask at the moment. He thought he had found a Tang Dynasty girl who could teach him lightness, skill, and swordsmanship. But after trying to practice Zhan Zhuan for only 5 minutes, he couldn't continue. There are no shortcuts in learning martial arts. Eric couldn't help but sigh deeply towards the sky. Nowadays, in a peaceful society, the cost-effectiveness of practicing martial arts is ridiculously low. If he injures someone, he still has to compensate them. Eric suddenly stood up and said, "Let's play games instead. We can discuss training later." To help this Tang Dynasty girl learn about life, we should start with the little things. Children just entering this world usually start with games. Under Eric's guidance, girl played games for a whole afternoon until dinner time. Girl then asked a question. "How can we make money from this thing called games?" Eric casually took a bite of food and said, "Once you learn how to play, you can make money by playing for others." Games are just like playing with grasshoppers. You indulge in them when you have nothing else to do after you have eaten and drunk your fill. And then, there are many people, tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of people playing this game together. There are always some people who don't have time to play, so they will pay someone like you, who has free time, to play on their behalf. The girl was shocked after listening. They don't have time to play games, so they pay someone to play on their behalf. Yes, it's like helping wealthy landlord raise crickets, and once you have raised them well, they can be taken away to be played with. Does this help you understand? In any case, it's better for her to be an internet-addicted girl than to sneak out at midnight pretending to be a ghost to scare people. Just then, Machi wandered over, rubbed against Eric's leg, but was rejected by Eric. It then swayed over to the girl, jumped onto her leg, and comfortably fell asleep. At the same time, inside a police station, several police officers are on duty. Suddenly, one person asked if everyone was hungry and suggested ordering takeout to eat. Dario, however, said that he was not very hungry. He looked out of the window and sighed somewhat boredly. "Today is so leisurely, there isn't much to do." As soon as he said this, several people turned their heads to look at him all at once, leaving Dario feeling somewhat embarrassed and puzzled. "What's wrong? Didn't your master teach you not to say such things?" Dario was even more confused. "What do you mean? Which words?" Just then, the phone rang at the right moment. The three of them sighed, and after a moment, a police officer on a police car told Dario not to say such things in the station in the future. Although it's about metaphysics, as long as someone mentions it, the whole day will be busy and crazy. Soon, the two arrived at a residential building where a man was sitting on the ground with a bottle of wine. Dario thought it was a big case. But the man suddenly said, "Why are you so late? I have been waiting for a long time. Quickly ask my wife to open the door." The accompanying police officer could only go knock on the door to inquire. He had just received a report that there was a disturbance here. "Please open the door and cooperate with our work." A moment later, a haggard woman opened the door. But she said that she did not make any report. Could it be that the neighbors found it too noisy? Then Alcoholic suddenly burst out cursing, saying it was me who made the emergency call. This lady dared to lock me out. There's no justice. The woman then explained, "He is my husband. Because he drank too much alcohol, I got angry and wouldn't let him in. I'll educate him now." Alcoholic is still ranting. "What's wrong with having a drink? We're not done yet." The police officer didn't coddle him at all, directly showed his silver bracelets as a threat and said, "Or should I bring you back to the police station to sober up?" Alcoholic immediately felt his scalp tingling and said, "No need, no need. I'm sober now." Dario held back his laughter and solved another major case. Great. The two of them were walking down the stairs when the pager on their waist rang again. There's an emergency in the neighborhood. Dario finally got to experience what metaphysics is all about. On the other hand, just now Eric suddenly woke up from his sleep. He seemed to hear noise in the living room. He thought girl was going to sneak out in the middle of the night and pretend to be a ghost again. When he opened the door, he did see a figure in black. As he turned on the light, he said, "I said, lady female hero, what are you up to again?" As the light was turned on, he clearly saw that the person in front of him was a man. Eric belatedly exclaimed, "Oh my God! There's a thief!" Before he could react, a figure darted out from beside him. The girl immediately grabbed the thief and held him tight. Her 5 fingers kept exerting force, making a clicking sound. Eric hurriedly asked her to let go, or else the person would be gone if she exerted more force. After a moment, Thief knelt on the ground trembling. The girl stared at him warily, as if facing a great enemy. Only Eric felt a headache coming on, unsure of what to do. The girl instantly grabbed a grown man by the neck with one hand and threw him to the ground, almost knocking him out cold on the spot. The thief's arm still bears a clear handprint. This is even more savage than Godzilla. Eric thought for a moment before saying, "Just stay there and don't move. Let me make a call to my police friend to come over." The thief was frightened. Brother, my good brother! The thief was about to beg for mercy. He met the girl's terrifying gaze head-on. He quickly retracted his hand and said, Bro, please let me off this time. I won't dare to do it again next time. Eric replied irritably, With hands and feet, why do something like that? Did my money come from the wind? What's wrong? Is this your first time acting like this? Thief lowered his head and said, Big brother, I really did it for the first time. You are a generous person. Please don't call the police. I won't do it again. The thief trembled, clutching his arms, saying, Even if there is a next time, it all depends on whether I have the luck for it. I heard that he gathered up courage to come and check out the ghost rumors here, only to find nothing, and nearly getting killed instead. Look at that woman's imposing and powerful presence. Could she be a martial arts champion or something? Eric pondered for a moment before saying, Apologies. The thief quickly bent over and apologized. I'm sorry. At this time, Eric felt that the thief was insincere, so he still wanted to call the police. After all, the thief was also injured. Upon hearing this, the thief grabbed Eric's pants and said, I'm fine, bro. Just let me go. I swear to God, I got this injury from my own carelessness. It has nothing to do with you guys. Seeing this, Eric walked directly towards the window. How you came in is how you go out. The next second, thief climbed up the window directly. He followed the rope down with 3 steps and 2 steps, then went straight down the building. Before leaving, he even waved goodbye. Good guy, may you have a safe life. The girl stood behind Eric. Are you just going to let him go like this? Eric explained while closing the window. What else can we do? It's uncertain whether the authorities will investigate you for hitting him. If the officials find you in their process and ask questions, and you're considered a person with no identifiable information, it's best to choose not to cause any trouble. Upon hearing this, girl was greatly puzzled. He came to steal things, and he still wants to hold me accountable for hitting him? This is 2 separate matters that are unclear. By the way, why are you still wearing your going out clothes? Are you planning to sneak out again in the middle of the night? Girl hurriedly explained that no, she is just used to wearing this to sleep. Eric didn't say anything else, but yawned and urged the girl to go back to sleep. The girl said goodnight, but didn't know what she was thinking about. Do you believe that this girl's punch can make you extremely happy? Early in the morning, Eric finished washing up. He then saw the girl walk out of the room with sweat all over her head. Eric couldn't help but ask, Did you finish your workout in the room before coming out? The girl untied her hair and said, Yes. Can you keep the door open so I can see how you work out? As a hero, you shouldn't be so stingy. Eric suddenly hesitated before the girl said, You actually agreed so readily? The girl felt speechless. You're so strange. It's not good to agree, but it's also not good to refuse. Shortly after, the 2 of them finished getting ready and decided to go out for breakfast, learning to live life. The best way is to experience life. Do you know how to learn? You need to abandon past thoughts and ideas, forget where you used to be, and see everything as brand new. Girl looked puzzled. Brand new? Just like the thief last night, if you encounter a similar situation again, you can subdue him, but don't be too heavy-handed. Were you thinking of breaking his neck last night? Girl raised her fist. No, I already toned down a lot of my strength. Eric looked at her fist shaped like a sand pot and could only say in frustration, That's good. It's very troublesome to hurt someone here. Given your strength, you can never kill anyone. Girl tilted her head. So how far can I go with the fight? Eric thought for a moment. It depends on the situation, such as the reasons for wanting to fight someone. The girl suddenly looked serious. If you sneak into my room in the middle of the night, what action should I take? Eric immediately froze in place. He angrily turned his head and told her, This is absolutely impossible. Do I look like that kind of person to you? The girl stared at him with her big eyes for a full 5 seconds. It really does look like. Eric directly struck a pose. I am a young hero. I am righteous and upright, and always do good deeds as a young hero. Do you understand? The girl twisted her hands and hesitantly said, I'll temporarily trust you. What does temporarily mean? Wait, why do you have such strange thoughts? Eric felt a bit embarrassed. Although he did retrieve her shoes from the trash can, he really didn't do anything else. The girl was a bit flustered. Clearly, it was something you said yourself before. You said you were a lewd man. Eric was speechless. That statement must have been a joke. And you saw it too. I'm so weak that even if I went, I would be taken care of with just one punch. Who dares to go? But speaking of which, if it really happened, what would you do? The girl thought for a moment, raised her fist, and said, Then I'll punch you. Eric felt as if struck by lightning. If this punch were to land, it might be lethal for himself.